They wanted us to eat the pink Simpsons cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I saw you in the what's the name?
Then they're like, eat them. We want you to eat them, and then like go in the stands and like sign them and give them to people. And I was like, Jay, you got that? Like you can eat it, Jay, and do whatever, right? And so the guy, this black guy, and he's like, I want y'all to really lean into it, do this, do that. And he's like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool. He's like, are you anti-Simpsons or donuts? I was like, no, I'm anti doing silly stuff.
I saw you do it.
And he goes, that tracks.
That's something y'all do down in LSU, I guess.
The man.
Maybe y'all do that down at LSU, bro.
Yeah, I saw that when Jamar was walking off the field, he had stuff on his face. Dre would never let that happen.
Nah, not to you.
Not to you, huh?
This you in this age, maybe, but you his time? Oh hell nah.
Yeah.
Nah, the you back in the
Jason Burrow.
Yeah.
Oh, smashing them don't. Nah, I ain't doing it.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
Well, we got Hall of Famer Andre Johnson here. This is Fred Taylor. This is Channing Crowder. I'm Ryan Clark. Welcome to the Pivot fam. Thank you for pivoting with us. And also, we want to give a special shout out to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV for sponsoring this episode. I'm glad we were talking about Jamar and Joe. I was going to save this to later, but I ain't got to save it. Your Miami team or the 2019 LSU Tigers? Me and Clinton Portis had a whole argument about this.
It ain't close, man.
LSU, I knew it.
Nah, Miami. It ain't close.
That 0-1, right?
Yeah, the 0-1 team. I mean, if you look at, you had 17 first rounders on that team. You had, I think it was 34 guys get drafted off that team. That's unheard of. I don't know no other college team that's had that happen.
How many Hall of Famers so far?
2. Well, Devin
was after. Okay.
So it was me, Ed. So now you got Frank.
Yeah.
Who's eventually gonna be one. Vince Wilfork, who's a finalist.
Yep.
So you got possibly 4 Hall of Famers on that team.
I missed so I was recruited by the U to play linebacker. So paying homage to y'all, this is about the closest I can get to the colors. I can't get no closer than that, but I can't rep the U either, but I root for the U. When y'all playing everybody other than the Gators.
Yeah, I got you.
I came out of 02, they ran out of scholarships on my ass. That was after all y'all went through?
Yeah.
Man, I visited my junior summer. They told me commit now, or we ain't got no more scholarships left.
Yeah, that's how it was back then. Because we had so many guys. You know, we was really getting a lot of the guys, the homegrown guys. So, you know, a lot of the guys back then, they was just, once they was getting offered, they was just committing.
Right.
And then, you know, they would come down, you know, when they have, you know, you can come down and visit the school and stuff like that. And they just saw the guys that was down there. And the way we used to, because we used to do like 7-on-7 on Saturdays, like Saturday mornings. So sometimes the local guys would come down and they would just watch. And they would see how many like former guys would come back and things of that nature. So I think that kind of helped reel them in too.
Right. What was the strength coach's name?
Andrew Swayze.
Swayze. I heard that name a million times.
Yeah.
Hey, different. I was in the pros and I went back to try. I forget who I went to train with, tapped out. Swayze made me tap out, bro. That's why they good.
I'm gonna say this though. As soon as you leave college, all of that basically goes away though. Like when I was in college, I could do all that junk and want to do it. When I would go back to LSU, I had to fight. It's a different thing when you living in that dorm and doing all that to be able to work like those boys work. Dre, I want to go though to a little bit further back than you being at the U. You know, as you're coming up and you're beginning to get the recognition that makes you a Parade All-American, makes you a Miami commit. I know your father passed right before, but you were already dealing with some things in that relationship. Like how difficult was it navigating the relationship of, I guess, not having your father there the way you wanted it to?
I think as, you know, young black men, like that's something we hold on to. I think we don't like to talk about it, or if we do talk about it, it's always like we speak negative on the situation. For me, I think it was something I just kind of buried, you know. I remember the last time seeing him, I was at a store and my mom had pulled up. We pulled up to a store, a little corner store. And I went up and said something to him. I think I had asked him about buying me something. It's probably like 8 years old. And he just kind of went off on me, like, go talk to your mama and your grandma, you know. And when I remember walking back to the car and I got in the car, and I didn't even say nothing to him. He was just like, go talk to your mama and your grandma. I went back and got in the car. My mom was like, what did he say? I was like, he told me to go talk to my mama and my grandma. And I had never seen him again. Yeah, so I talked about it in my Hall of Fame speech. So I was 21. I always heard I had a sister. Never had met her before, never seen her a day in my life. And she called me. I'll never forget, she was calling Coach Johnson's office, and she informed me he had passed. So that's how me and my sister built our relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why was the relationship so tarnished already when you were 8 years old?
Yeah. I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it was some animosity he may have had towards my mom. I don't really know how that relationship was because my mom got pregnant when she was in college. So the first time my mom ever had sex, she got pregnant with me.
Dang. So for you, Dre, and the things that you do now, from the foundation and what you do, that Scott Van Pelt, the first thing he said when you walked up on the set was, I do this at Christmas because of the long receipt I would see
Right.
you have, you know, to being the sort of father you want to be. How have your experiences through that shaped the man you are now?
It shaped me a lot because I've always said I didn't want to be him. You know, I always said if I was to have a child, I wanted to be very involved in what was going on. And the whole Christmas thing, we was just sitting in the house one day, me and my uncle, watching a Monday night game. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, like, I want to do something for Christmas that, you know, for some kids. And he was like, why you want to let them just run through the store and buy what they want? And I was like, hell nah, like, cause you know, you thinking like kids running through Toys R Us, like they gonna fill them baskets up so quick. Right. So I'm like, man, that's gonna be a hell of a ticket. So he was like, nah, he was like, you were the number 80, give him 80 seconds. So I was like, all right. So we tried it the first year, and the first year it was like, it was amazing, man, like to see those kids, and they wasn't only buying stuff for themselves, they was buying stuff for their brothers, their sisters, you know what I'm saying? One of the girls was even pregnant.
Wow.
She was 14. She was pregnant, she was buying diapers, and we was wondering like why she was like getting diapers and all these baby things. So it was a hell of an experience, man. It was something I always look forward to doing.
Like from that experience though, Dre, to have worked your way up to the point where, one, you can provide that for young individuals, but what is it like seeing a young girl at 14 who gets 80 seconds, right, to go buy what could be gifts for herself, toys, and she's already having to prepare to be a mother, you know, at such a young age?
I was at a loss for words because my mom, she kept saying, she was like, I was wondering why she was grabbing, but my mom didn't really want to ask her like why, you know. And after, you know, they ran through the store, whatever, her and my mom were kind of just sitting there just talking, because my mom was the one pushing her basket. And she eventually just came out and told my mom that she was pregnant. That was like because I have a daughter that's 15, so I couldn't even imagine, like, right now my daughter coming to me telling me she's pregnant. So that was just a different feeling, man.
Yeah.
Like, you had to be there to, like, see it.
I can't even imagine.
Just the why to that, because we all do, for, you know, philanthropic things, but I love to hear people's why. Is it your mom? Is it God? Your grandma? Like, why do you care about kids you don't know? You never met that girl. You never met none of them kids you helped. Why do you care about them?
Man, I just think, like, we've all been fortunate to play a game. Like, I think for me, I didn't really realize how many people I affected playing a football game until I actually retired. And it's so many kids, like right now, I have a kid come up to me and was like, hey man, you gave me a bike when I was in elementary school.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy, bro. Like, you left something that's gonna stick with not only the community, but you left a legacy that can last forever. It was just something I always said, like, I was like, if I ever made it, I want to make sure to just give kids hope that no matter what the circumstances they're in, that they can make it too.
What was it, 8 months before losing your dad, you lost your best friend, Cyril.
Yeah.
And you became the godfather to his son.
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to step up in his absence?
Because I ain't grew up without my father. So I didn't want him to feel, even though I wasn't his biological father, he can have somebody he can call on and, want to check with. And, I treated him just like he was my son, Christmas, school clothes, whatever he needed. I was always there for him. I was just actually with him a couple weeks ago in Miami. Got a chance to sit down and, talk with him a little bit and pick his brain. So his mom really was the one who came out and asked me because I think she knew our friendship. She called me one day and she was like, will you be his godfather? And I was like, yeah. Like, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I was 19. He got killed when he was 19 years old. And he literally got off the phone with me. We was on the phone for probably about like 2.5 hours. And me and him had never talked on the phone that long before. And it's crazy because like when I tell people what we were talking about, we only talked about stuff we did in high school together. So people was like, maybe that was his way of, saying goodbye. But he ended up getting killed right after he got off the phone with me.
Dang. Hold on 1 second. Hello? Yeah, he right here. All right, Cortland, I'm gonna talk to you later. That was
That's a hell of a pivot. God damn. That's a hell of a pivot.
Dre, honestly, how many people, as soon as they meet you, is that their first question? Like about you and Cortland Finnegan?
I hear that every day of my life. Like every day. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, there's nowhere I can go anywhere, and people always tell me that's their highlight. Like, especially Texas fans. Like, that's all they talk about. It's so bad to where I just get tired of talking about it. Like, it's crazy. But I literally hear it every day of my life.
But do you understand from our standpoint, dudes that know you, we was like, what the hell, Dre beating the hell out?
You do look at it that way. It's easy to look at it that way because of his demeanor, right? But on the other side, y'all gotta have been on the field with Cortland. Playing the Titans twice a year, he's a little snappy little asshole, and I see why you snatched him up. Like, bro, it made perfect sense to me. Right. And I was sitting there like, yeah, get that. That shit was crazy.
But that actually leads into what my question was going to be. How many people, Dre, do you feel like had sort of a misconception of you because you aren't boisterous or you don't talk a lot or you didn't necessarily sell yourself as a tough guy, so they sort of had a misconception that you were like this quiet, now you big as hell, but this quiet, sort of meek-mannered person or human that would try you from time to time?
Well, nobody really bothered me. He probably would be the only one who really just continuously just kept going at it. But like, it's been times in games I've exchanged words with guys, but it was never like to that point of like, getting out of character. But I don't really, I was always like a person like I'm gonna go out here and bust your ass on this field. And I would always tell people like I wasn't never afraid to be knocked out. Like if I'm going across the middle, I'm going to get that ball. And if you knock me out, you knock me out. I'll live to fight another day. Like you ain't gonna kill me, Wow. So that was just always my approach to it.
And Dre, I would say, I've asked you, I think you missed out on a lot of money being as mild-mannered and quiet as you are. Because you was a dog He was one of the
everything.
best, the best receiver in the league. Three tutties, 150 yards. Yeah, I just go, am I going to do my job every Sunday? Like, if you came out of the locker room like, yeah, man, line up in front of me, whatever they want to. Bro, I think you would have had crazy endorsement. I think I think you missed out on a lot of money with how you are.
Yeah, I was. It's funny you bring that up. I was just talking to somebody about that because, you know, like my whole career, I've only ever had one national commercial. And people would be like, what? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I only had one national commercial my whole career. But I think it's because of that, like, just being quiet, laid back. So, people always be like, he don't talk, he don't really say much. But people who know me and people who are in my inner circle, they think I'm like a clown. So
There's no way anyone, Dre, listen, bro, this the pivot, but we ain't finna let you just come on here and lie.
No, I'm
Dre,
serious.
you don't have there's none of your homeboys that go, shit, man, we finna go by Dre and cut up. You know Dre funny as hell. Dre, you definitely the homeboy. You like, man, I'm really going through something, man. Like, I just need to go talk to Dre, man. Like, he got wisdom. My dog that been through here. I know they say this. He's a great listener. You know what I'm saying? I know they say that. But for you, man, what, your relationships with people, though, and those things like that, because a lot of times guys who aren't sort of out there or very outspoken or extroverts, they have extremely tight circles, right? And they're extremely loyal to those circles and they influence their life. I think you got an uncle named Dre too, right?
yeah, he passed away.
He passed away.
Yeah.
What was his influence in your life without having your father around?
I mean, he was there from the get-go. I was named after him. So my mom is his older sister. And my mom said, he came to her and was like, will you name him after me? And she was like, yeah. She said she was just like, yeah, all right. And so she named me Andre. He was there from Little League all the way through. So, he played a very, very important part in my life and, helped, shape the man I am today.
Talk about that one moment when you were playing flag football and you left your cleats at home and Miss Karen had to see you.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments. So I spent a night, I think I was at my grandmother's house or something, and so I had a game that Saturday morning we used to play. So I started off playing flag football, and we would play on Saturday mornings. My mom forgot to bring my cleats. So I'm out there playing in tennis shoes, and I'm just sliding. Like, every time I go to make a cut, I would slip and fall. So, you can't get up and run. Like, wherever you land at, that's where the ball at. So now, like, I'm frustrated. I'm crying. And, like, I'm like 6, 7 years old at the time. So halftime comes. I'm walking off the field. But I'm crying because I'm frustrated because I can't play the way I want to play because I keep slipping and things of that nature. Bro, I don't know what happened. Like, I just feel this person just grabbed me. Like, she had me by my jersey, like, jacked up in the middle of the field in front of everybody. And she was like, you better get your ass together. Like, I'm like, it's my mom now.
Right.
Like, she runs out on the field and, like, jacks me up in front of everybody. And I'm just like, damn. Like, so stop that crying, this is that and the other. So I wipe my face, go over. We do whatever we do at halftime. Shit. I came back out, you'd have thought I had some cleats on.
All of a sudden, you weren't slipping no more.
Yeah, I wasn't slipping no more, yeah.
What was the teachable thing that came from that moment that you were able to carry with you as you started your journey throughout playing sport?
It was almost like looking at the same thing you always hear, how you respond to adversity. So that first half was the adversity I was facing. So it was just, how you gonna respond to it? Are you gonna continue to let that adversity, take you down and you not win the game? Or are you gonna figure it out? So that was just, you know, everything has a lesson to it, man.
Right.
So
Now, Dre ran in college too, though. So I'm talking about just high school. High school Freddie T, high school Dre. Who wins in the 100?
That's crazy, man. Miami and Muck City, huh? I was 6'1", 212, and I went 10'2", 9 in high school.
yeah, he
in the
was
100.
He was
But he might chime in and say, "Well, Freddie ran on the clock. It probably wasn't, back then." But
yeah, he gonna get on you.
that's one of my biggest regrets, though, from college,
Right.
not running track in college, learning how to run.
Right.
You know, because even on my long runs, like in the NFL, I'm like this. I'm just big and, and I'm tearing muscles. I never knew how to run relaxed, where I probably could have been a little faster.
You know the crazy thing? I never took track serious until I got to college.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I really like took it serious. Like we did it for fun, you know, to stay in shape in the off season. Cause me, Portis, Tanner, Reggie, Roscoe, like all us, we ran track.
Right.
But it was just more of like something to do. But we did, you know, when we did it, we took it serious. So,
Right.
and CJ, he forced us to run. Like he was like, I don't care if you just go out there and practice. You ain't got to run in the meets.
Right.
But he was just like, I want you to go out there and practice. So, we was just like, shit, we might as well just compete too, you know, while we at it. So, it was fun, man. You know, got a chance. I was the Big East champ in the 100 and the 60-meter dash.
crazy.
So,
But that extracurricular, like doing track, that kept y'all going across the bridge to South Beach, right? Because all the distractions was across the bridge.
nah, we always found a way to get to South Beach.
And you got to think, too, though, back when Fred was running, you think it's him, Jesse Owens, you know.
Fred ran on the hourglass. They turned the sand over and ran the sand out when Fred took
He wasn't
off.
on like the turf with like the rubber. He actually ran the joint with like the rocks
Cement.
and the sand.
I have a segment every episode. It's more like, can we start running the commercial? Like, can we do stem cell sponsorship or something?
Dre, man, I remember my first true Andre Johnson experience, and I know, you know, for you, it's probably just one of many, was watching you play against Nebraska. You know, even in like looking at your stats throughout college, it wasn't that you needed a ton of catches to have a ton of yards, right? I think like 18 yards an average, 21 yards an average. But that night, man, with the entire world watching on a team that was already stacked, what was the feeling to like really have that breakout on the biggest stage?
Well, you know, the whole week, all I heard was about Keo Craver, which at the time, they had him ranked as like the top cornerback coming out. So the whole week, everybody's, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when he lines up on you? This, that, and the other. So, like that whole week, like I didn't go nowhere. Like I was in the hotel. I was like, I'm gonna give it to him. Like I'm a show out. So mentally, I was just trying to get myself in that space. You know, to make sure I was ready to perform. So like that week of practice, man, we was throwing bombs like the whole week in practice. So I'm like, man, there's no way we gonna go in the game and throw the ball like this. And the game came and they was calling them plays and I was I was ready because I had already did it all week. So, and I knew too, like I had a move I used to do where I used to grab DBs. And I remember the first time I grabbed him, I could tell mentally he was done because I grabbed him and threw him on the ground.
What you mean, like when you blocking you talking about, or just?
Nah, I just like, because you know how DBs try to get aggressive with you? So he tried to jam me. And it looks like I'm fighting off the jam, but I really want him to try to put his hands on me. So I know he wasn't stronger than me. So I just grabbed him as if I was fighting through the jam and just grabbed him and slammed him on the ground. The first touchdown I caught, I grabbed him and slammed him on the ground.
Now, you did a lot of like big people stuff.
Yeah.
I remember, man, it's 08. Y'all came to Pittsburgh. And this was my first game back after being sick, Chan, as you like to famously talk about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fired up. I'm like, so I'm back out here, God that gave me my life. You know what I'm saying? And you know, man, they used to have that stretch run. It all looked like run every single time. I'm trying to go fire on somebody. So I had took off. Man, Dre comes screaming down the field. I had to make a choice, Shan. It was give up this bomb or tackle Andre before they threw the ball. And you're damn right. You're damn right. I tackled him.
Man, it's that time of year. You got to buy everybody something. The kids, the relatives, the mailman, the dog walkers, man. You know what we got to get? You got to give a gift to yourself. Freddie, you know what the best gift to yourself is?
Man, I'm scared to ask you.
Man, you know what I'm talking about. YouTube TV and the NFL Sunday ticket. That's what you got to do for yourself. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's honestly my gift-giving tip to everybody who are like me, right? You just can't get enough of football. And if you can't get enough of football, NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV is the exact perfect gift for you, especially for me, a guy who loves to watch all of the out-of-market games. I work too hard. I've been grinding too much to have to think about which games I'm going to watch on my TV. So getting NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV was the perfect gift to myself.
Absolutely. You get to track your favorite teams or your fantasy team throughout the crucial point of the seasons. Can't beat that.
Keep up with all my teams. I'm going to share with the Pivot fam. That's how I keep up with it and know that I'm whooping people out there on all my fantasy teams. RC, do the honors.
Hey, thanks to our friends over at YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket. You can sign up for only $209 for the rest of the season at youtubetv.com/pivottpod. Gift yourself this special offer by signing up now. When you get to the Texans, bro, it's still basically an expansion franchise. But in that draft, so they had drafted that David Carr. He was the quarterback, right? And in that draft, it's you and Charles Rogers, who ends up going second to Detroit. How much time did you end up spending with him before the actual draft and the pre-draft process? Did y'all come to Houston?
With Charles Rogers?
Yeah. Did y'all come to Houston together?
None of our visits was together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, none of our visits were together. I got a chance to hang out with him in Miami for a little bit. That was my first time ever meeting him. You know, we was getting ready for the draft. He was down one weekend. We exchanged numbers and we just kind of chopped it up a little bit. And but we always had a cool relationship because his agent, they were located here in Houston, so he would be here, in the offseason and stuff like that. So we always kept a cool relationship. I always had a feeling they were gonna take him because he was a hometown kid. Yeah. He was a hell of a player, man. Used to do some great things, on the field. So it was never no animosity about who was gonna go first or who was gonna go second. We just always kept it cool.
You talk about grown man stuff. You remember the stud on the mic, the trips.
Yeah.
The Z come down. Yeah. And leading into the Houston game, they were like, Channing, he's not breaking stride. And I was like, no, I'm going to cut him off. And I'm standing in front of him, and now he got to stutter back out. They said he's not breaking stride. Confidently, okay, shit. He going to stop. He going to stop when he hit this middle. God damn. I don't know what part of you hit me, your elbow or your knee. And my whole body shot back. He caught it. It was a touchdown, too, right in the red zone. And I was like, okay, it's a little difference there. But even playing y'all, we beat y'all. You go crazy. And you still lost. Was that frustrating? Like RC just said, you came into an expansion franchise. You was a monster, all-pro, everything, and y'all was getting y'all butt whooped.
Yeah, that was tough because coming from Miami where you won a lot, and then coming into the league, it was different. Cause then it almost, and I had nothing against my teammates, but it almost kind of made you question is these guys really, are they really giving it they all, Cause like I said, I don't know, my approach was just different. I tell people all the time, when you're in the locker room and they tell you it's 2 minutes before you go out, I don't know what it was. I could be cool the whole time, but once I put them shoulder pads on, I never would put my shoulder pads on until they told me it was 2 minutes for me to go out. It was when I put them shoulder pads on, it was I was putting on I was going to war. So that was just my approach. That was my mental approach. So when I was out on the field, man, you literally had to take that top and throw it over me to get me off of it, So That was just the way I approached it, and I didn't feel like sometimes everybody approached it that same way. But that was just my love I had for the game and the way I approached it.
Dre, what made you stick with it though? We had Calvin Johnson on the show, right? Just as you were one of the greatest players at the position, Hall of Famer as you are, and he retired early, right? Barry Sanders retired early. In Detroit, which was an organization that had that singular great player, and then that great player never won, so eventually they were like, okay, this isn't worth it for me. You continue to play. You play 14 years. You have stops with the Titans and Indianapolis late. So you kept that love for the game. What was it that kept you invested, in my opinion, along with J.J. Watt, two best players to ever play in Texas and in Houston? What kept you invested to keep coming back to that stadium, keep going back to that practice field every single day until y'all were able to win?
Well, you can go somewhere and the foundation can pretty much be laid. That foundation had to be built. Like it wasn't nothing there when we first got there. I remember people used to laugh at us. I don't know if you was in Pittsburgh then. I remember Pittsburgh coming here, and I remember Joey Porter was like, y'all should be ashamed of y'all fucking self. Like he was telling our O-line this because, at the time, like I think the year before I got there, they gave up the most sacks ever in the history of the NFL. They used to have a commercial where David Carr would line up and there was no line on the field. So it was bad, man. So like I remember standing on the practice field one day, and I think I was just having a moment like, damn, like, I made it. Like I made it. I accomplished my goal of playing in the NFL. And I remember making my first Pro Bowl and just listening to like some of the guys just talk about like, cause that's what always mattered to me, like what my peers thought. So just hearing guys talk about, hey man, I like the way you approach the game, this, that, and the other. I was just like, man, you know what? Like, I'm a make people respect the Texans. Like I want to be the person that make, people. When you talk to the Texans, you're gonna talk to Andre. Like that was always my approach. So that's what motivated me and kept me like coming back every year, like just wanting it more and more and more. So that was just my approach to it.
Troy had 3 sacks that day, Andre.
Yeah.
They should have been embarrassed.
Yeah, along the same lines, I actually wanted to ask the same questions RC, but I'll add what Channing was talking about making more money. Right. You could have easily chased the money.
Yeah.
You're losing. You still the best player on the team. You're putting up crazy numbers. Could have went to a whole entirely different market and all that stuff. But you stay here. If you make that decision, you're not the first player in the Texans ring. Well, I don't know if you would be or not.
Right.
But do you think you would be the first person that they inducted into their Ring of Honor? And how would that? How would your legacy look differently if you had gone?
You know what? I tell people that if I could do it all over, I still would have never left. I just would have never played in Indy and Tennessee.
It was in the South.
When you've been somewhere for so long and then you have to go to a whole nother city, you got to figure everything out. Mm-hmm. Here I was routine. It was routine for 12 years. Right. I had, my massages, my doctors I go see, whatever. But when you go to a whole nother city, you got to try to redo that whole routine and figure it out. Mm-hmm. The year I was in Indy, the first year after I left here, man, that was probably like one of the most miserablest times, of my life. Like, I enjoyed being around the guys in the locker room, but as far as like outside of that,
right,
it was, man, that's the most I probably ever slept. Like,
I feel you.
So that was, those are the things I would say I would change. As far as like leaving here, no, I would have still stayed. They wasn't gonna let me leave anyway. I mean, I remember Rick Smith telling me, he said, "You'll retire before I let you leave."
Yeah, and with Rick, we all hung out in Vegas during the Super Bowl, and you were getting ready for the Hall of Fame induction, and just seeing how ownership treats you, how Rick treats you, and what the city thinks of you.
Yeah.
None of that would be what it is now. Even the Astros, right? It wouldn't be what it is if you left.
Yeah, that's why I say I wouldn't change it, because even right now to this day, like when you walk in that stadium, you probably see more 80 jerseys than you see of any jersey. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely created something that will last a lifetime. Like, if I'm dead and gone, my daughter, she have kids, like they gonna still see Andre Johnson up in that stadium. Mm-hmm. So, for me, that's what it's all about. Like I just never wanted to. I just always wanted to be. I wanted to be great. I never thought about the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. It just shows like the work and stuff you put into it, man. So
they're not only gonna see your name and jersey number, they're gonna see you. Chan goes to play for Miami, an Atlanta dude, never leaves. Freddie T, Florida boy, plays in Jacksonville. He has a house there. A lot of the cats that play for Miami who are from there, they end up going back. You decided to make Houston home. What was it about Houston that you said, you know what, I can continue to live here the rest of my life, even being from a place where people work their whole lives to get houses in?
Man, people ask me all the time, they be like, man, you don't want to go back? And I'm like, nah, because the relationships, just the love, like I get here, like the way the city welcomed me. And it's crazy because like I already had relationships like with Slim Thug them, because one of their close friends, we and him played together. He actually played at Miami. So they used to come to Miami and hang out with us when we was in college. So for me, like the transition coming here was easy because I already had people I knew here. But the love and the relationships, man, like shit, sometimes I feel like I get treated better here than when I'm at home, So my mom's moved here, my brothers moved here. They feel the same way about it. So, I mean, why leave?
Well, you talking about love. We talk about making love. The women in Florida finding the women. I answered your question on that one, Dre. The ladies here are just as bad as Miami?
Yeah, they I don't want to get too down too deep.
Because they asked, that was a setup question. They asked CJ that.
He kept saying love. I'm like, what kind of love we talking about here?
Hey, you a vet. CJ was a rookie when they asked him that. Don't fall for Channing Trap, bro.
Yeah.
That's set up, bro.
Speaking
I'm
of
setting them up, I like Onyx. I've been to Onyx too.
Speaking of CJ, this is a point in Houston Texans history where they're sort of, they had to make a transition after Deshaun left, and you never really know how that's going to go in finding a quarterback. I feel like they have, right? And they found a franchise leader. You get D'Amico, but you come into this year, Dre, and they're like, okay, this is it. It's about to be Kansas City and Baltimore and the Houston Texans all in that same conversation. And they've hit some bumps with injuries, with different things that have happened with this team. How do you see the current iteration of the Houston Texans, and do you believe that something is building here that brings a championship?
I definitely think it's something building. I think for me, just, looking at everything, I kind of think they let that outside noise kind of get in, because once the Stephon trade and everything happened, it was like, oh, we going to Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the team, they're fairly young. And, man, I don't think those guys really, really understand how hard it is to just win a game, let alone win a Super Bowl. I think that, and what D'Amico is, preaching to them, he says that a lot, like we got to block out this outside noise. And I think it's about too like getting hot at the right time. I think with these last few games coming up is, if they can just find a rhythm, and get back to playing the style of football that they're used to playing. I personally think they need to run Joe a little more, run the ball a little more. But I definitely think it's something building though and heading in the right direction.
Fellas, man, it's getting cold, but the NFL season just heating up.
Man, I'm so grateful for being drafted and playing Miami. It's warm year-round. But now that I'm done playing, I love to see those snow games. I like to watch the Denvers and the New Yorks and the Green Bay Ice Bowls. I enjoy that football weather.
And it's the thing, man, as December actually heats up, those games become more prevalent. But I like to watch all the out-of-market games, too. And that's why you need NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV, because when you're traveling to all these different spots, if you're in Miami and you want to watch a game in Denver, you have to have YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket.
Hey, man, you can say that again. And for me, I'm thankful for NFL Sunday Ticket because no matter where I am, I still get to watch my Jaguars. Let's go.
And what more can you ask for? I am so grateful for my family, my friends. My third F is football. See where y'all went? Man, y'all can watch NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV right now. $209 for the rest of the season. It is beautiful. RC, tell them how they can get that.
That's right. Thanks to our friends over at YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket, you can sign up for the rest of the season for $209 at youtubetv.com/pivottpod.
How many yards would you put up with CJ? Because you ain't had no quarterback. I mean, I'm going to keep it 1,000.
Yeah, Matt shot, bro, that's honestly, I don't mean to cut Freddie off. I know I want you to finish your conversation and finish your question. But to me, that was my Andre Johnson's a first ballot Hall of Famer argument. And no disrespect to Matt Schaub, I was like, that's the best quarterback he had. And he put you were quarterback independent. And that's hard, bro.
Obviously, I seen you up close, and I know what the game plan was when we played you guys.
Yep.
And I mean, it was an intense rivalry along with the Titans. So with that, you mentioned 7 1,000-yard receiving seasons. You got 5 100 reception seasons, number 2 all time with 5 over 100-yard receptions. So, that's why I asked the question, because CJ is amazing.
Yeah.
This year isn't as dynamic as his rookie year had been, but we see he has all the tools.
Yeah.
And he would easily have been the best quarterback that would have been throwing you the ball. And again, no disrespect to your former teammates, but you did all of that shit.
With CJ, probably, I think I'll probably get by 1,800.
In 17 games now, they play an extra game, so you.
17 games now, I'll probably get close to 2,000.
The rules changed.
Yeah.
The state, they can't hit you. Nobody want to hit your big ass anyway. They can't hit you. I think you do 2,000. Keep it real with you.
Yeah,
but that's just me. That's just me as a fan.
It's somewhere around in there. Yeah, we know. There has to be frustrations with quarterbacks and wide receivers. You weren't boisterous about yourself, much less your teammates. There was a loyalty you had that even in your frustrations that you just mentioned here, I never heard those during your playing time.
Right.
Recently this week, they asked A.J. Brown about the game. They said, hey, A.J., what y'all need to be better at? Passing. Now, Dre, don't one person pass the ball, Dre. It ain't a lot of Freddie T wasn't gonna pass it, Chan wasn't gonna pass it, I wasn't gonna pass it. The quarterback was gonna pass the ball. When you see the A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and that frustration, how do you view a situation like that in the way you feel like it should be handled if you're a superstar wide receiver with a superstar quarterback?
So I would have just talked about the offense as a whole. I wouldn't have just spoke specifically about just the passing game. Even though, Saquon is running the hell out the ball, but I just would have said there are things we all need to do as a whole, to be better as an offense. The whole thing with him and Jalen, that's something you go talk about behind closed doors. I don't think you air your quarterback out like that, But, times are different now too, man. So,
way different.
It's, I didn't actually get to hear it, but I saw they kept replaying it on ESPN, and I was like, he must have said something crazy, for them to keep talking about that. But Yeah, if it was, that's the way I would have approached it, you know.
But Dre, did you ever snap?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you know what's crazy, man? Sharp actually got into it one time on the sideline, and I literally just walked off the field. It was the Kubiak's last year. We went 2-14. I think everybody was just frustrated. You know, Sharp, that was the year he threw like 5 or 6 pick sixes or something like that. And I understood he was frustrated. And we were playing against the Raiders. It was the last play of the game. And we had ran the same play 4 times in a row. And I'm just like, bro, like we keep running the same play and you throwing me the ball every time. Like they know the ball is coming to me. And so I go in, I break in, he throws the ball. But I didn't break in, I guess, the way he thought I was going to. Because I'm like, I done ran this play 3 times in a row. The 4th time, he going to be right there waiting on me. So I'm thinking he going to improvise a little bit. It didn't work out. And he was like following me down the sideline, like, you broke your route off of that. I was like, he just talking. So in my head, I'm just kind of like, all right, he's having a tough year. Like, I'm going to let him vent, you know, get whatever he had to get off his chest. And he just kept following me. He kept talking. And it just got to the point I just turned around and I just snapped. And so the strength coach, he grabbed me and he was like, nah, you not about to do that. And I don't think it had got to the point of where like we would have put our hands on each other, but in the heat of the battle and like the way the season had went, it was just a lot of frustration that had built up. Like he had built up frustration, I had built up frustration because we just had a great year that year before. And we were so excited about the upcoming season, and then we go 2-14. Like we won our first 2 games and then lost 14 straight.
Golly. Was that the most difficult time for you in the NFL?
Yeah, that was hard. Like that was real hard because I even felt like, even though like me and Sharp got into it that game, like cause as soon as the game was over, we got into it. As soon as we got in our cars, like we got on the phone. And like we was apologizing to each other, you know, because you know I always looked at Sharp like a brother. You know, we spend a lot of time in the off season working out together and stuff like that. So that be the things like people don't get to see, like the behind the scenes stuff. So you know that was a very, very frustrating time, and I was hurting for him because of like, you know, what he was going through, because he wasn't playing well. And I can, you know, he coming out there, people booing him and, you know, things of that nature. So that wasn't a good feeling, yeah.
You talked about walking off the field. Another Miami native who's on the top of that list I was just talking about, Antonio Brown. Mm-hmm. He's number 1 with the most 100-yard receiving seasons. Mm-hmm. When AB walked off the field, he didn't look back. Yeah. It broke my heart. Yeah. And we've talked about whether he was a Hall of Famer. Yeah. Certainly Hall of Fame potential up until that point. What do you think about, I guess, that decision he made? And do you think AB is a Hall of Famer?
I love AB, man. I got a chance to train with AB when he first came in as a rookie. Mm-hmm. We were all trained back home together. And I ain't gonna lie, like, I remember watching him and I'm watching him work out. And I came back, like, we was OT. I'm like, Coach, we got this kid that's, you know, at Central Michigan, but he, you know, he's from Miami. And I was telling my receiver coach, I'm like, bro, I think we need to, you know, look at this kid, man. Like, and is he, like, what AB done in those years when he was being AB, yeah, he was Hall of Fame. Right. I definitely agree that, you know, for what he done in the time he was playing, yeah, definitely.
Heck yeah.
The part where he walked off the field, I ain't gonna lie, man, that hurt.
Right, yeah.
That hurt, man, because, you know, like, you see a guy that has so much potential and is a hell of a football player. And then when you saw that, it was just kind of like, damn, AB, like, it's almost like you want to jump through the screen and just grab him, like, just, no, AB, don't do that, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the love I have for him. And, you know, I hated I hated to see that, but you know, I got a chance to see him a couple times. He's been in town here, you know, and chop it up with him and stuff. So, but yeah, I got a lot of love for AB, man.
Me too.
Dre, how often do you see that video pop up? Whether it was you, Tanner Man, Chad,
Yeah.
AB. And this is just my opinion. That was before everybody was a wide receiver coach and everybody did this stuff training in the offseason.
Yeah.
To me, y'all were the godfathers of the training we see now. At the time, did y'all see it like that? That y'all were starting this whole new thing?
Nah, we didn't. Man, to be honest, we were just out there working out.
Yeah.
Chad was the first person I ever seen do that, them cone drills and stuff like that. He used to train with a guy named Coach C. And Chad was the first person. He had told me about it, so me and him went out to, we were on the beach at that stadium right there on South Beach. And that was my first time ever doing it, you know, training with Chad and doing those cone drills. And, you know, it's crazy how, like, you know, you go out there. So me, Tanner, you know, all us AB, we get together one night and we just like, we gonna go work out. So we go out there, we do the cone drills or whatever, but not thinking that would go viral, you know. We was just looking at it more as just like a workout, you know. So it's crazy, man, because it pops up a lot.
Yeah.
It pops up a lot. And then it's crazy to hear like a Devontae Adams say, you know, that was something that he watched coming up, and hear some of the guys that's playing now to say that. So that's kind of crazy, man.
Here's my question for you. All right, let's say it's middle fourth quarter, right? Close game. Andre Johnson walks out on the field. The corner that stands in front of him just went on a 14-play drive where they caught two footballs, a bomb, and now he got to stick you. And I'm asking you this because tomorrow there's a guy that may win the Heisman Trophy who's going to try to do that, right? He's going to try to be the best wide receiver on the team, and then after that, he's going to attempt to cover the best wide receiver on the team. Channing or Fred, I can't remember, asked him a question and said, if you're playing Miami, that's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey.
Wow.
If he's playing the Texans now, that's Nico Collins and Derek Stingley.
Right.
In Travis Hunter's future, do you believe it's possible for someone to be a majority player on both sides of the football at that position or those positions in the NFL?
Majority?
He plays every snap.
I get it in college, but I don't see that happening in the NFL. I can see where they may come in, you know, depending on what position he plays, if he's a wide receiver or a defensive back. But I can see where, if he's a full-time defensive back, I can see where they may have 6-7 plays drew up for him, you know, on offense a week or whatnot. But as far as like playing 130-something plays or whatever it is that he play, I just don't see that happening in the NFL. But I will say this, man, like, to see what he has done, like, bro, he had me locked in. Like, I want to see what Travis Hunter doing this week. Like, he really, really had me locked in. And man, like, what he has done, man, has truly been amazing. I think it was great for the game of college football, because you don't see talent like that. Like that type of talent comes once in a lifetime. You know, to see what he has done, I really think, like Coach Prime said, like they need to just go sit the Heisman on his dresser. He was definitely the best player in college football this year.
I agree 100%.
And he made it look easy.
Yeah.
Now I bring it back to you. Was that shit easy for you? I'm just thinking about, I'll be honest, because he said, I ran track for fun and I won the Big East.
Yeah.
You go out there, bro, and I ain't saying you ain't work hard, but you really just go out there and eat people up in routes. Big as you are, you want to throw a jump ball, let's go. Like you said, cross in the middle, let's go. Don't grab nobody.
Yeah.
Blocking, you choking the hell out of corners. Like, was that shit easy for you?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was easy. It was just a lot of work that went into it. Like, the thing with Sharp, like, we used to go to U of H, and it'd just be me and him on the field, and we would just go route after route after route, just like over and over and over. And we would like, all right, we got this situation. You know, I'm gonna do this. You know, if this situation happened. So it became like I repped it so much to where it became like second nature. So like when I got out on the field, because I've had guys say like, man, you make it look easy, but I think for me it was that I've already prepared myself from being in those situations. So yeah, it made it look easy, but it was a lot of work that went into it.
He didn't want to be reminded by Miss Karen. You got some shit. You gonna jack him up.
I tell you what, if she get his feet off, if she would have got his feet off of the ground in the league, she was bad. Hey, I was paid to do it, and it was a fight.
Exactly.
I don't want to call the dude's name out, but we were playing Dre one time, and they went the trips away from him. And we tried to roll the coverage, and the corner looked at the safety and said, mm-mm. They were like, no, roll left. He said, mm-mm.
That's crazy.
I said, yeah, we're in trouble today.
So, Dre, you finally got that gold jacket. Yeah. Saw the tears, man. I love the speech. Connected here in Houston. What's next for you? What's on the deck?
I don't know, man. I'm still doing little stuff with the team now. I have a lot of people who ask me about coaching. Mm-hmm. I actually interviewed for the TSU job when it was open.
Oh.
I don't think I'm in that space yet to actually want to be coaching like full time. But I do think that's something I will eventually like get to. Mm-hmm. I kind of like where I'm at right now because, you know, I do a lot of more things on the corporate side with the team. It's a lot less stress, you know. So, but I just like being around the game. Mm-hmm. You know, I definitely think, you know, at some point I'll switch over to like that football ops side.
Right. Now, keeping it stress-free is always the key, man, but you've earned every bit of it. So I want to ask you, you know, along your entire journey, everything we've talked about, with that, what's been your biggest pivot?
Biggest pivot? Damn, I ain't never thought about that for it. I was probably about 14, 15. And I think this is what kind of woke me up, you know, as a kid. So one of my closest friends, well, my best friend, you know how you have that, like, your mom tell you not to be hanging around the wrong crowd. Mm-hmm. And so there was a point in time when she was just like, he was kind of hanging around some people he probably shouldn't have been around. And my mom, I remember her coming to me and she was like, I don't want you to hang around him no more. But this is my best friend. We grew up together from like 5 years old. So, you know, as a young, you know, teenager, you just like, man, like, what are you talking about? So you have a lot of questions. And he get in a car with somebody and they supposedly are supposed to go get something to eat. And they go in the place, the guy he goes with robs the place.
Wow.
Gun goes off, kills the girl at the cash register. So now my best friend is gone, you know. Yeah. And I would probably say that was when I was like, damn, like, what if I would have got in the car? Or what if I would have been in that car? And the, you know, so from that happening to sending me out of district to go to high school and things of that nature, I talked about that in my Hall of Fame speech also. It put me around a different environment. Like, I never had been around young black men who supported each other and encouraged each other to go to college and be successful. So that was, I would probably say that was like my biggest pivot because it really put things in like perspective then, you know.
Just before we go, because Channing made me think about it, football was never easy for me. And I'm pretty sure no one ever watched me play it and went, God, RC, you made that look so easy. They was probably like, mother effer, you is straining every single play. You look stressed out. Because I am, right? And so, like, you know, I got to play with Troy. I played with Sean and, like, all of these people who I was like, man, to have that much talent, to be able to do those sort of things, I was just like, man, that must be just a great feeling to walk on the field and feel like, man, I got stuff that other people don't. You had that. Channing mentioned, I'm gonna go run track, and we just did it because we were supposed to, and then I won the Big East. When it started to go away, though, right? When the yards weren't as easy, when the waking up to train wasn't as easy, when the stuff that made you a Hall of Famer was no longer there. How did you deal with that?
That was kind of like a rude awakening for me. Like, because I remember my 12th year, it was my 11th or 12th year, and I could kind of feel like, I'm like, man, my body not responding the same. Like, so I'm like, well, hey, maybe, it's dwindling down, like it's coming to an end. And I remember my last year, when I was in Tennessee, I remember just being out there, just like running routes, and you could feel it. Like you just like, nah, I can't do that like I used to. So I think for me, what made me retire too, man, I was sitting in the meeting room because I retired like after our 8th game that year, and I was sitting in the meeting room, and I always said if I mentally wasn't into it no more, I said I would never like waste a day. Like that day I was mentally out of it, I was going to tell the coach I'm done. Like, and I remember sitting in the meeting room, and they say the coach called me 3 times, and I never responded. They said I was just sitting there just looking at the wall. And I knew then I was mentally checked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you just walk in after that and say, I'm done?
Well, the crazy thing, it was the day before the game. And we had like a Thursday night game. So we played Jacksonville that Thursday night. I come back to Houston and to see my daughter. And I'll never forget, because I already said when I get back for that Monday meeting, I was going to tell him, because I had already called him. And my daughter, before I got on the plane, my daughter was like, why you got to go back? But she knew I was playing football. But she was just like, why you got to go back? And when she said that, that just even more confirmed, like, you know what? You gave it all you had. Just, let it go. So.
Wow.
Man, that's a wrap. We let this go. Dang. What's funny about that, Dre, is I tell the story. In my mind, I retired in like November of my last year, my 13th year. Right. I was sitting on the sofa, and I used to have people come in, do treatment or whatever. And man, like I just remember how hard it was like to get up and answer the door.
Right.
Or the pain of being on the table and dealing with that. It wasn't worth it to me no more, dog. Like I was sitting on the sofa, and I was like, this is it. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna try to get this last run and not make myself look like a fool. Right. And I didn't want to cheat it, so I still tried to stay tapped in, still tried to stay mentally there. When I knew it was over, it was because the bad stuff didn't affect me the same.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't about the highs. Yeah. Right? It was like when something bad happened, I was like,
right.
And because the reason was just like I knew it was nothing I could do about it. When you're in your prime and something bad happened, you're like, dang, I gotta be better. I gotta work on that.
But see, that's the crazy thing, because that year in Tennessee, I never forget, we was playing Detroit. I think it was like the 2nd game of the season. So they trying every time they put me in, I'm running a hitch or a slant. It's 3rd down. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, man, the hell with this. So I literally go sit on the other end of the bench. The whole team's on this side of the field. And it's game-winning drive. So everybody's like, Dre. So I'm like, man, I ain't going in the game. Like, I ain't played the whole 4th quarter. Yeah. So one of the assistant receiver coach come up to me like, Dre, please, man, just go in the game. I go in the game, catch the game, win a touchdown. But it didn't feel the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it just was like you just made another play.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew. I was just like, yeah.
It's a gift and a curse, man, to be able to get to that point where you can make that decision, even though you kind of can look along the landscape and say, fuck, and just start playing back your whole career. I was like that in practice in New England. It's like, all right, it's a wrap. Yeah. And when you start questioning it, you gotta shut it down.
I also think it helps, just my opinion, to not be in the place that made you who you were professionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I needed to go to Washington that last year to be like, oh, wait, I'm okay going home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you with all the people or still got people around that you actually fought with, you grew with, you had that level of respect for, it's like, man, he's still here, man. I want to be here.
Yeah.
And it was like, when I left that same year, Troy retired, Ike retired. And so I didn't have to sit home and watch them play in black and gold.
Right.
You know, so it made it a little easier. But I couldn't imagine if I was with them, I know we'd have been bucking each other up. Nah, dog, we can do it one more.
Right.
Out there getting burnt up.
That makes sense.
Out there getting cooked.
That makes sense.
Y'all niggas love football.
Oh, here you go.
He already know he
See you
gonna
guys
say
later.
it.
Have a good one.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless. Niggas to me, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.